Hi, Olivier here. Don't we all need a little IoT gateway in our life to make it smoother, better, right? We do. Today, I want to talk to you about the Particle Monitor One device. This is a development board that allows you to test the Monitor One that I have here. And yeah, we want to talk about the different types of gateways that are out there. Eventually, try and give you a sense of whether or not this particle device is good for you, and depending on what you need to do. So I wrote an article about gateways, the different types of gateways, what they're for in the realm of IoT, and then we can also consider the fact that some gateways will be built from scratch using an SBC, maybe a Raspberry Pi, a Nuke, or something even more ruggedized than that. You will build your own OS, build your own code in there, your own device management. Sometimes you're going to leverage a solution from a third party that already implements a certain number of scenarios for you. Think about Litmus Edge, for example. You can also leverage some cloud providers that have an edge solution. Greengrass from AWS is a good one. Azure IoT Operations, an interesting type of gateway as well. You can basically build on your own based on building blocks that these vendors provide. You can also go pure black box, right? If you're looking for a connectivity gateway for connecting devices to Wi-Fi or to LoRaWAN, right? You have gateways that do only that. Right? You have certainly a Wi-Fi gateway in your place. We call that a router. That's a gateway at the end of the day. But what if I told you that there is a category of devices of gateways, IoT gateways, that are like the Particle Monitor One, ruggedized, ready to go, but flexible and customizable. We'll look at this Particle Monitor One here. That's the one I have at hand. There's not that many like this one, actually. So this little guy here is pretty nice, actually. The size, you'll see, I'm going to hand it out in a second. It's about like that. It's really light. It's powered by battery. It has LTE connectivity. It has GNSS. It can do sensor fusion for location, blending Wi-Fi, GNSS, and cellular. It is in an IP65 enclosure, so fully ruggedized, fully dust-proof. Can be immersed into, I think, 10 meters of water, under 10 meters of water for an hour. No problem. You want it to resist rain, right? Because you want it to be used outside. You have a power manager as part of the device that allows you to recharge the battery that's in there. Eventually, you can power with solar. It's white labeled, so you can put your own branding on that thing. You can reprogram. The firmware is open source. You can do whatever you want with it. And if you don't like the Monitor One, you can decide to go with your own form factor and leverage one of the sums that Particle offers, the tracker one, that is basically what's in that Monitor One gateway. Today, I want to use this out-of-the-box device, right? So I got the Particle Monitor One from their website over here, and you can see that there are different versions depending on whether you're in Europe or in the US, North America. So I picked that one, and you'll see that the price is really reasonable for the amount of things the thing can do. If you look at the data sheet, you're going to have all the details for the board, for the device, sorry. You'll see, what's connected to what, how, the different buses that are accessible on the board, and so forth, right? You will see also the external features. It has this back plate for attaching to walls, to things, very solid magnets. I'll do a short demo of that. 2 connectors. There are N12 connectors. One is 4 wires, the other one 8. One gives you access to power, or you can power the device through that, and you can access RS-232, so a serial connector. You can access RS-485 for doing Modbus. You can access the CAN module and connectors. You have 2 antennas connector here. There is an internal couple of antennas for GPS and for cellular. And if you want to extend that because you don't have good coverage where you are placing that device, you can extend with external batteries as well. That data sheet definitely is all you need to really get to know the device. and be familiar with it, right? Let me show you the outside and how good the magnets are in the back. So yeah, the device, as you can see, is in that plastic enclosure. You've seen it already. There's a lot of void in there, a lot of space in the box itself. You have the carrier board, you have the battery underneath. The thing is really robust, and connectors are underneath. And in the back, you have a plate that is removable with a little screw there, and you can screw that plate to something and then attach the device and then secure it. Or there's like two magnets. One again, I have a piece of metal here. I want to show you something. It's like pretty impressive. The thing will just like attach here, and I can tell you that this thing is not going anywhere. This is like really powerful magnets that you have in the back. So that means you can attach this to a metallic container, and I would not attach that on the outside of a moving vehicle, but why not? It's no, it's pretty beefy. Yeah. Let me get back to my screen share over here, and what I want to do is show you the next step. Once you've been acquiring that little device here, you will be sent to that quick start guide, right? Opening the box, recharging the battery or connecting to power, turning it on, and then you do these getting started experience that Particle has for all their devices. Like for any other Particle device, you have to go to setup.particle.io, turn the device on. In the portal here, you will select which device it is. I'm logged in with my account, so I'm going to hook it up to my own instance of the console of the Particle Cloud. And once I've picked the Monitor 1, the only thing I have to do is find the serial number in the back, enter the serial number here. And then it's going to verify the serial number, and it will activate the SIM card, attach the device once it's connected through the cellular connectivity to my instance of the Particle Cloud. Eventually, I will attach it to an existing product or create a new one and get going with using the device. So I went through that process. My SIM card activated in about 2 minutes. So it was functional immediately. Really impressive, really practical. And in terms of the provisioning and get started experience, that's all I had to do. It has a firmware that is flashed by default that is already functional. I did update to the V2 of the firmware for getting a bit more functionality. The V1 comes with GPIO's functionality. You don't get Modbus and so on, but it's super easy to flash the new firmware. I did give some guidance in this article that is in the description, but I will give you some hints as well today. So by default, my device now appears in that asset tracking. Here I'm on my landing page for the Particle console. If I look at my product, I call that asset tracking. And in here, I will see the health of my different devices. And I can list the devices, right? Here I only have one, and this is this Monitor 1 device, that is on my desk. And from here, I can already do a lot of things. When you have a Monitor 1 device, it has functionality. It exposes through the console here. You can see there's a gateway settings tab that you might not see in other devices, or it might be different. You are able, so the Particle console allows you to set a schema for a type of device that goes along with the firmware that exposes configuration settings and so on for your device. So in that case, you can, with the V2 firmware of the Monitor 1 that I flashed, you are able to do the configuration for Modbus, for GPIOs. You can calibrate them. You can set up certain things for location. You can set up a store and forward. If your device is not connected for some reason, it's under a tunnel or whatnot, it will store the different events that it's supposed to send to the cloud, and then it will forward them afterwards. So you can fine tune that in terms of how much memory you want to use, and so forth. You have a motion sensor, so you have an accelerometer in there that you can leverage for your application. You can set up alert on high G, so if the device falls, it detects a big shock. You can react on that, and so forth. You can set up a geofence. I did play around, set up some location, and went for a ride with the device. And then I was able to track exactly where I was going. So if I go back to the map here, it will show where I am right now because the device is right here. This is last known state. This is right now. The device is online. But if I go back a couple days, I think it was that week here, we should see an itinerary that I went through. Right, so I started up there. Actually, I started the tracking down there because I had not set the tracking settings correctly. I did that on the flight, and then suddenly the thing started reporting its location. You can see like it was reporting every few seconds its precise location. I can see exactly where on the parking lot I went. I can see which turns I took. Once again, parking lot down there. Just flew by and came back to the highway. So that was a really like short errand that was running there. So, but pretty interesting. I didn't have to code anything. That device was already functional. And it's not random that I created a protocol asset tracking. That little monitor one can be used for asset tracking solution like day one. It's really, really easy to set up and configure for you to attach this thing to a moving object, moving asset, and start tracking. It has some connectors and functionality that you can access to as well. Let me go back. Sorry, I didn't want to leave that page. If you look on the right here, the firmware by default allows you to interact with a couple of functions. One is command. We'll have to go look at the code for what kind of commands it supports, but you would enter text commands there and it will send an event back in response. There's a number of things that you can do there, and once again, you can customize that behavior as well. So you can, get the temperature of the temperature sensor. You can get some information about the IOs as well, and you can control the relay. That little expansion card that is in there, the one by default, has a little relay, a couple of connectors plus, power and ground. And here I did set something up. Let me bring up the device. So I did connect the relay to an LED and to the 5-volt source that I have here with my LED, a little resistor on the other side on the CMD connector of the relay. And what I'm going to do is just set the relay to 1 and see what happens, right? So let me move the window so you can see what's going on. Here I have the relay command. I will put 1 call and the relay will trigger and turn that LED on. I didn't have to do any coding on the device itself. The firmware, the default firmware, allows you to control that relay. There's one relay. If you want to extend with more relays, that expansion board already has some more room up there, but you also can create your own. There is a totally empty prototyping board that you can put your own components on and control that, right? So pretty straightforward. Configuration is done through that interface or through APIs. So you can configure your Modbus connection, you can access CAN, you can do a bunch of things. On this console, you can see that I can manage more things. I can manage my SIM cards, I can manage the customers using the device. Eventually, I have several customers using several of these devices. My solution is an asset tracking solution that I operate for my customers. You can do all of that from here. You can see all the events for all the devices, eventually monitor alerts, attach through the integrations to some workflows or some cloud solution or some storage solution. You can attach to DataCake, you can attach to AWS IoT, to Azure IoT. You have Zapier here, you have Ethernet, you have custom webhooks you can attach to as well. So Particle Cloud itself is not a dead end. It's somewhere where you would send the data. It's going to be, where you're going to configure your devices, but then you're going to integrate into your workflows, into your applications pretty easily thanks to these different integrations. The firmware is updated over the air for the Monitor 1. Here's a little bit of a hint though. You will not be able to deploy a new firmware on your fleet of devices out there over the air if there is 0 device on your fleet that runs this exact firmware already. So that means that you cannot deploy something brand new that has never been tested on your fleet of devices, which I think is a very good thing. So once you have tested a firmware by manually deploying it to a device that is set in developer mode, you'll be able to deploy to a fleet, right? But as long as you've not done that, you cannot use the over-the-air firmware management tool that you can see here that would allow you to upload different versions of a firmware, tell devices to get the binary, and then hit release firmware to have them implement that firmware update and reflashing. Here I had to go with the manual flashing the very first time. That's only the one device I have. So what I did is I went to GitHub. I got the firmware open source project that I cloned, and I went on and let me actually remove that little guy here. I went on and just compiled and reflashed. This time I was able to flash over the air. I had one thing I forgot to show you I had to do. My device has been set in developer mode. So that means that it is a developer device that I am allowed from a developer tool that is hooked up to my Particle account to push firmwares and applications too, right? So everything is very secured. Everything goes through the Particle cloud. You can develop and deploy and debug over the air. Really practical. So I did clone this project. I did just compile and push the update to the Monitor One. It was pretty fast. And then, you can go and explore that code here. I have one library that is open, that is the CAN one, to show you that not only do you have the source for CAN, so you can connect to a CAN bus, and you can, through the connector, one of the M12 connectors here, and you can interact with a CAN bus. And here you have an example of an application to do that, by initializing the CAN connection and then sending, reading, whatever. Everything is implemented in that. So as you can see, it's like really flexible, very customizable. It's functional on day one. It's something that, if you are looking at remote monitoring of an equipment, an installation that does not have connectivity, or you do not want to connect to your local network, bring that Monitor One device, attach it to your asset. It's connected over cellular. Everything goes in a secure way to the Particle cloud, and then from there you can inject the insights, you can inject the actual data into your applications and workflows. If you want to do asset tracking, as you've seen, I was able to track my vehicle without writing a line of code, just some configuration and rules and so on. Place the device in the car, off it went. Battery-wise, I've had it running for a couple days, 3 days, I think, since I recharged it. It was just sitting on my desk, so it just has the keep alive, whatever. And it burned 16% of the battery. I would assume that if you are doing some more intense stuff than just like sending location from time to time, it will burn through the battery faster, but you can hook up a solar panel, source of energy, and it will recharge the battery as well. So that's something that is pretty cool. So if you like this device, go check out the Particle website, go check out the Monitor One, go read the article that has more details about IoT gateways in general and the Monitor One in particular. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope to see you soon. Bye.